So welcome to Fight Night Nashville, Lobov and Swanson recap. The first fight of the night, Hector Sandoval against Matt Schnell. Oh my god, what an opening fight. This lasted one round and it was crazy all the way. Schnell had a massive 6-inch reach advantage rather going into the fight. And to kind of combat that, Sandoval was moving a lot and then jumping in. In one of those kind of exchanges, he got caught in the guillotine. He lifted Schnell up and slammed him to the ground. They didn't actually release the guillotine, but he did give him enough to squeeze his head out. And then he hammer fisted him and knocked him out on the ground with hammer fists. Such a rarity to see that. But this was such a furious opening round, like they were doing the rock and sock and robots, just standing there braying each other in the pocket. It was a beautiful opener, and actually I like both of these guys in that division. I think both of these guys are two good prospects, and we'll see who goes on and moves up, maybe gets a chance to progress towards that title in the future. Second fight of the night, Bryan Barberena against Joe Proctor. Quite interestingly, Bryan Barberena is trained by Joe Lozon, who's fighting later in the night, and Joe's in his corner. This one, I thought this was going to be quite an interesting one. Bryan Barberena, most famous for obviously beating Super Sage Northcutt. And yeah, they kind of got into it a little bit, but then a little bit later in the round, there was a weird kind of standoff where both were opening up their arms, encouraging the other one to come on, but not really do anything. And one of the times when Joe Proctor did this, Bryan Barberena caught him. Joe Proctor kind of tried to cover up. Bryan Barberena swarmed him, get him down, and I'm not sure how many of the shots were going through. The ref was right on point, and another first round stoppage. Don't put your chin out there, open up your guard and ask to be hit, because when you get hit, you go down. So we've had two early stoppages. It looks like the Tennessee is going to be a great fight night. So the last early prelim was Alexis Davis versus Cindy Danois. Cindy Danois, of course, Misha Tate's best friend or training partner. Belgian school teacher going up against the number 10 in the division. What can you say about this? Two really good early fights. Kicked us off, and then this one was a bit of a stinker. Davis won this 29-28. It's probably scored correctly. Rounds 1 and 3 for Davis, round 2 for Danois, but really a stinker of a fight. You could have argued the other way that Danois won this. Danois, by the way, with the worst punching I've probably ever seen in the octagon. And also she had two types of takedowns. One was grab the head and try and flip her over from the hip, which didn't really work all fight long, and I guess it wouldn't work with a lot of UFC fighters. And the other was really nice, double leg, and she picked one of the legs with her ankle. This is much better, but even the grappling on the bottom, it wasn't really that high level, To say that we had a judo black belt against a BJJ black belt, the grappling exchanges on the ground were weak. That was a bad fight in my opinion. Alexis Davis got the win though, so see what she'll do. But I mean, I know she's fought for the title. I just don't see her being high level anymore. As the sport evolves, the women's side of the game gets better. She looks like a fighter from a bygone age. So we opened the prelims with a female fight, Danielle Taylor versus Jessica Penne, and this is quite an interesting looking fight because Taylor is short and stocky. Penne is much bigger, but probably Penne would have looked to take this fight to the ground. That didn't really happen. The first 2 rounds were all standing. First round, a lot of nice flurries. Penne trying to control with the jab, but Taylor very quick in and out. It was a really close round in the first one, and I picked it for Taylor. The second round was much better for Penne, but just towards the end, Taylor had a nice flurry, and I think that stole the round for her. And then between the rounds, Penne's corner finally told her to take it to the ground. Now, that should have probably been the strategy all along. And right at the end of the third round, Penne did get a takedown. She tried a few times and didn't really succeed in getting a takedown. She did take Taylor down, but she took Taylor down. I think Taylor landed on her butt, and for official takedown to be scored, you have to get the shoulders to the mat. So, only one official takedown at the end of the round for Penne, and that stole it. The judges saw it the same way as me, 29-28 across the board. I think Penne's better than that. I think Penne needs to improve on her striking. And Taylor, how far can she go? I don't know. I don't know how far Taylor can go, but she's certainly short for the division. And I haven't really seen enough of her on the ground to make an assessment of how good she is fighting off her back and how good she is on the ground. But I think Penne has more upside and has better ability for the division than Taylor. So we saw Scott Holtzman take on McBride. What can we say? Holtzman, hometown guy. In the first round, I think the first 2 shots were a left and then a right a little moment later. Both huge power shots. And that was a little bit of the story of the fight. Holtzman hitting McBride with heavy shots. McBride just eating them and looking like they were nothing. McBride's slippery character is a weird one to fight. He looks pretty good on the ground. It looks like he's got some decent submissions, or he's trying for submissions all the time at least. He never really got them into a point where Holtzman was in danger, but he was certainly trying off his back. He doesn't look that good on the stand-up, and he didn't look like he had the ability to take Holtzman down. But in the end, this was 3 rounds of Holtzman landing shots. It's unfortunate he didn't get the knockout. It'd have been good in front of his hometown crowd, but Hot Sauce, deserved the win, and he got it. Hometown crowd's happy. Well, Dustin Ortiz versus Brandon Moreno, number 9 versus number 10 in these rankings that obviously, if you follow me, I don't think much of. What can we say? Round 1 and half of round 2, Ortiz was looking like he was in control of this. He was getting the takedowns. He was in control of this fight. Then a left high kick clapped him around the back of the head. And I thought the referee could have stopped it there, but he didn't. He let it continue. And the fight went on for a little bit. Moreno grabbed onto the back, and after a little bit of working in, a few defenses, he sunk in the rear naked choke. I think he had the body triangle locked in at the same time, and Ortiz actually went out fully. So, great win for Moreno, but, it shows anybody can come from behind at any moment in the UFC. Another great fight. Well, we saw Taylor's latest against Sam Alvey, and I've got to say, not for the first time tonight, the commentary between Grisham and Stan. I mean, I love Stan. I think he's a great guy, but The commentary tonight is annoying, if nothing else. I mean, in the third round there was unfortunate low kick and unfortunate a kind of eye poke, both ladies on Sam Alvey, and Grisham starts asking Stan if the judges are going to consider that in their judging criteria. I mean, what's this guy watching? This guy is a complete joke in my mind. The first strike of the fight was a low kick from ladies, and it seemed to badly damage Alvey. Actually, they didn't mention it at all in the first round again, coming up with all the weird explanations as to why Alvey was doing what he was doing. But to me, it was obvious the kick straight away. I was surprised if he hadn't broken something. He looked like he couldn't stand on it. It did appear to get a little bit better throughout the fight, and it wasn't swelling up, so it might not be a break. It might be like a bruise or something, but Alvey seemed badly damaged by that. And ladies, in the first round, it was just all kicks. Second round, a little bit more even. Ladies kind of relaxed a bit, but he did get a takedown. And then the third round, again, this was a bit closer. Alvey was kind of pressing forward and ladies was relaxing. He should have felt comfortable. He was 2 rounds up at that point. And maybe Alvey was throwing a little bit more, but I don't think that he was landing in any meaningful kind of way. And if I was judging the fight, he wasn't able to really land anything of power because he was struggling so badly with the feet. Really mature performance from ladies. I wouldn't, devalue Alvey because of that. I think the reason why he didn't, live up to expectations in this fight was obvious. But I think ladies went back up in my expectations. He's a fighter who could still have something left to offer. Mike Platinum Perry against Jake Ellenberger. A lot of people really excited for this one. 2 guys who can really bang. First round, a little bit more tentative than what we expected. Ellenberger did well. I think Ellenberger was controlling the fight. Probably I'd have given the first round to Ellenberger. And then between rounds, Perry's corner told him he was doing great, and I think that was to keep his confidence up, and it was a good idea because second round he came out, he landed a good left against Ellenberger that put him down. They kind of wrestled a little bit, he got back up, and then from a clinch, Perry hit him with an elbow that just put the lights out. I can't remember which UFC it was, way back when though, and I think it was Ken Shamrock steps in with an elbow and knocks someone clean out. And at that point I hadn't really seen much UFC. I hadn't seen much MMA. I was more of a boxing guy, and I just couldn't believe how the elbow knocked someone out. But Ellenberger went clean out. Perry did a bit of a spinneroonie or whatever in the middle of the cage. And the Platinum Hype train is back on. Another great fight. Tennessee's turned out to be a great night. Stevie Ray against Joe Lauzon. Joe Lauzon, probably one of every MMA fan's favorite fighters, and Stevie Ray, an up-and-coming warrior. The first round could not have been more emphatic for Joe Lauzon. He scored a takedown and pretty much bossed the round on the ground. A lot of significant strikes. There was a question as to whether that's a 10-8 round because Tennessee hasn't adopted the new rules. Anywhere else, that would have 100% been a 10-8 round. I was a little surprised to hear in between the first and second round Stevie Ray's corner say, Joe Lauzon's tired, he's done. I thought to myself, it's not possible, it's definitely not true. Joe's a veteran. But then he came out in the second round and he looked done. Joe's still a pretty young guy, early 30s. But he's been doing this a long time. He's been involved in a lot of wars, and maybe that's what's catching up with him. But the second round, I thought Stevie Ray had it on the striking, and then Joe scored a takedown. So, in my opinion, maybe Joe won it because he took him down, and I think he controlled over 2 minutes of the fight. So, did Stevie Ray outstrike him that much to win that round? I would have said not. But the third round, Jesus. Stevie Ray did outstrike him very significantly. Joe was just standing there and eating it as well, which those are the moments I wish Joe Lauzon would retire before, he inflicts serious damage upon himself. He does have those kind of tendencies that lend to him getting into wars. If he only stayed technical with people, I think Joe would be a much higher ranked fighter, but he doesn't. He allows himself to get into wars, and it wasn't good for him. Stevie Ray came out of this looking great, even though I would have had Joe Lauzon winning this based on the first 2 rounds. I think I wouldn't be upset if Joe decided to call it a day and retire. Now, I know he's got a young family. One of the kids has some problems, and retirement at his age is probably not an option. But if the UFC has got anything about them, they'd hire Joe Lauzon. He's great on the technical side as far as IT and things like that go, and he's a huge fan favorite. So bring him on broadcasts or on their website or something. I think that would do great business for them. Stevie Ray, though, comes out of this looking really, really good. I don't know what else you can say. So I hope Joe, I hope he stays involved in MMA, but I don't want to see him get in another fist fight like that. So John Dodson versus Eddie Wineland. I was really excited for this going in. Both guys are really good. I rate them very highly. There was a very clear height and reach advantage for Eddie Wineland. But the speed advantage was with Dodson, and Wineland hardly connected at all throughout the fight. I think the combined strikes that he landed probably under 20. I don't know that Dodson landed that many himself. It was a lot of movement, a lot of missed shots. The crowd, who they haven't been great all night, but they've been doing the woo thing, which I really dislike. But they were booing, and what you've got is you've got 2 very technical guys, 2 good strikers, 2 guys who can knock people out, 2 guys showing you good movement. They stayed standing all fight. So I don't know what people are booing for. It might not have been 2 guys standing and smacking each other, but that was a pretty technical exchange. And, I'm not going to take anything away from Dodson. He did everything he needed to do to win. And for Wineland, I think, he's still Wineland's still a factor in that division. Is he going to be a champion? Probably not, but, he's a reasonable top 15 guy, I think, and a good one to test up and coming guys. Dodson, I don't know whether he does move up to become a title contender there or not, but he's certainly going to be hard to beat. Third from final fight of the night sees local boy OSP over in St. Peru from Knoxville, Tennessee, take on De Lima. De Lima came in overweight at 210 pounds. And actually, De Lima dominated the first round. A lot of leg kicks to or a lot of kicks rather from De Lima hitting the body and things like that. Early in the second round, OSP take him down, bust him up with elbows. And then he got the victory by submission. It looked like he's pushing the shoulder into the airways. of dilemma, and that's what caused the tap. So OSP, interesting submission victory, and he's back on track. Ala Quinta against Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez now not the nightmare or the dream, but the Lionheart. Tough one alumni against Ala Quinta, who's been away for 2 years. I couldn't believe that. Apparently, the last time he fought, there wasn't even a Reebok deal in place. Again, this is another one I expected was going to be a great fight, and it was over quickly. Iaquinta caught him early with a right cross. Diego managed to get up, and he looked like he was going to bite down on the mouthpiece. Starting off, Diego was very, very patient, but it looked like he was going to get into a war, and I'll just put him down, and Big John waved it off. Great news for Iaquinta. I don't know where Diego Sanchez goes from here, but a good fight. Tennessee is working out really well. So we go to the main event of the evening: Cub Swanson versus Artem Lobov. If you read the online forums, people were predicting the Russian Hammer to pull off a shock victory, maybe get a very early TKO. But I think all his fans will have to be happy with this. The performance from him was very good. I feel that he won the first round, even scored a takedown, which I think surprised Cub Swanson. It surprised probably everybody. The crowd were into this a little bit more. They were a little bit more polite because these guys were standing and banging. Both guys have got good chins. Both guys were throwing good punches. Lobov in the first round also was throwing really good leg kicks, and I thought that was working really well for him. I was actually impressed with him. I thought he did a lot better than I imagined he would do. But from the second round onwards, the quality that Cub has shined through, in my opinion. Second round, the biggest thing was Cub scored a takedown. Third round, Cub opened up a big cut in the Lobov's eyelid. Herb Dean called in the ringside physician to look at it. But yeah, that was the biggest thing in round 3, even though I would say that round 3 was going to Cub. Round 4, the biggest thing was a spinning back elbow from Cub. They were clinched up, and Cub spun out of it and caught him in the head with the spinning back elbow. And then in the 5th round, Lobov, probably he didn't look that tired. He still had energy, but I think the poor fight IQ and tiredness maybe, because he started going for takedowns and clinching up. In a 5-round fight, his corner should be telling him and should be letting him know that actually what you've got to win this fight. You're down on the scorecard. And also at the end of the 5th round, Cub got a huge judo throw. And it was a good ending, a lot of back and forth. But it was a Cub Swanson victory. A lot of people thought it had won much easier than that, so probably Atom's stock goes up. But yeah, in the end, I think quite a comfortable victory for Cub, even though he didn't get the finish.